So for my business, I run a transportation company. I got started 10 years ago with FedEx, in that a lot of people don't know the person coming to your door wearing a FedEx uniform, driving a FedEx truck, is not actually a FedEx employee. FedEx Ground contracts out their package delivery to some 6,000 small business owners across the United States. So my business grew to become the largest contractor to FedEx Ground in the United States. And what I like to joke is all that should really tell you is that my trucks have just hit and destroyed more personal property than anybody else's trucks on the road. We have mowed down more mailboxes and basketball goals than I care to count. My trucks have been on Good Morning America and Jimmy Kimmel Live, which are like the last places you ever want to be as an entrepreneur or as a truck driver, because you're about to get made fun of. I got started as an entrepreneur like most kids with a lemonade stand. I mean, no joke, I was doing it since I feel like I could walk. My parents encouraged entrepreneurship from an early age. So I was out there selling lemonade and trying to upsell someone into 2 lemonades rather than 1. That journey took its way through the financial markets as I started to understand what the stock market was and why a publicly traded company had equity and stock that you could buy, but my local Mexican dive shop didn't have stock that I could buy publicly. That led me to continue to understand what it means to create a business and to one day have a business that you can sell either via IPO in the public markets or in the private markets. Early on as a kid, I got really fascinated with investing in the stock market. So I started off like most people and did everything wrong. I was investing in penny stocks and stuff that you should never do. But I started to learn about option trading. And that's something that's a foreign concept for a lot of people. But I learned about the power of options to make investments and to get leveraged returns. When you're right, you're really right. And when you're wrong, you're really wrong. So options are generally limited for sophisticated investors. And at this time, Schwab, who I used to run my accounts through, said you have to be 16 years old or older to trade options. And I wasn't 16, I was 14. So I felt like that I was sophisticated enough to be able to trade options, and I studied them and I practiced, and I turned in my application and it was denied. And so I asked my local branch manager if I could come in and interview in person for approval to trade options. And I made him a deal and I said, listen, if I can answer any question that you have about options, and if I can stump your staff here that are supposed to know more about options than anybody, then you should give me approval to trade options. I came in and that's exactly what I did. I walked out of that building with approval to trade options before I was 16 years old, which by the way, probably marks the absolute top of any stock market. When they were approving 14-year-olds to trade options, like, it's time to sell, get out. The hallmark of any good entrepreneur is that you understand the pain of the customer group that you're trying to solve for. When I got started in the FedEx world, I drove a truck as a FedEx driver for 2 years. I was in that truck, I was sweating, I was running from dogs. I was doing all the things that any of the drivers or my staff were gonna do, I had done personally. When I had experienced it, I was then able to provide solutions and have authenticity. When I'm sitting across from my staff and they say, hey, this can't be done, I know when that's true and when that's not. Entrepreneurship requires mental toughness. You've got to have grit to push through times where people are going to call you crazy, times where banks are going to tell you no, times where things look like a failure in a moment. You got to be able to get through that. But here's something else true about entrepreneurship. This is not a maverick quest. If you think that you as a solo individual are going to find a way to push through all the hurdles that await you, you will fail, guaranteed. You have to have not only your family around you, if you have a spouse, a team, other people that sometimes are behind the scenes, they tremendously deserve recognition, but you have to have those people around you that can help encourage you in those moments where you need somebody else to pick you up out of that dirt and brush you off and convince you that you haven't failed. You've just got to find a new path forward.